What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Um, I know it's been a long time since we've kind of done one of these, like a long form. That's because I've been working on this, and this is something that I had to have the data to share on, and it's not something that I ever wanted to share lightly or without having gone through the process or without understanding, because if you want to share with others, you have to be able to understand what it is that you're sharing so that you can share in a way that can be easily understood. In the world, we have a lot of misinformation. We have a lot of popular people talking about popular things, but no one ever explains the real truth, like the actual, the scientific truth behind, easily understood scientific truth behind some of these things in life. Um, the most popular one right now is you attract what you are, and it sounds good and it is good, um, but it's not the base. It's not the base. What I want to share today is my experience with this phenomena of attracting what you are. I don't want to take too long, and if you do want more, just go to the podcast Proper Gentlemen's Club on Spotify. Obviously, it's free. There's no subscription price. I don't know if I ever want to charge a subscription price. I just like the information that I have is free to me, and so I have to give it freely. Um, and I hope you guys enjoy the sounds of the water. That's also why I'm out here. I'm currently on a work trip for a week, but I have been traveling for work a lot the past month, and that's something that I always saw myself doing and have really called into existence. So let's talk about the first thing. Let's talk about the first thing. Let's talk about faith. Let's talk about faith. Because a lot of people think faith has to do with religion, that faith has to do with Jesus Christ or being a believer. And faith, in its essence, is emotional certainty regarding the thing that you can't see. It's an emotional signature that correlates to non existent matter, matter from another dimension, that tells it to create itself. Just like I can speak into air and we breathe air and we can't see these particles, there's particles that are smaller than that are waiting to be called into existence. And that is what everybody knows as the quantum field, right? That's faith. So the attracting what you are. Okay. Two is understanding how how matter works. So energy can't be created or destroyed. It just is, right? So remember, this is number two. The first one is faith. Second one is this here. Matter exists as particles and wavelengths simultaneously at the same time. There's a duality to their existence. Now, the wavelength only collapses into a particle once it's observed. If you know anything about Neville Goddard, you know that the state is the only thing that must be observed. Your emotional state. Remember, because faith is emotional certainty. So your emotional state is the thing that creates. Okay, that's number two. Your emotional state is the thing that creates. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Your emotional state is the thing that creates. Okay, so with emotional certainty, faith, you can create. Why? How does this work? Number three, your consciousness doesn't exist inside of the body. Your body exists inside of your consciousness. This is why you can be conscious of being. So this is why whatever you are conscious of is what becomes true. Okay. Number three is your consciousness does not exist inside of this. This exists inside of consciousness. So whatever you are conscious of being, sick, ADD, ADHD, autistic, diseased, anything in the body comes from some kind of lack or sickness in the consciousness. Okay. This is why your frequency, okay, remember, matter exists as particles and wavelengths simultaneously until observed. The observation of the state is your emotional state. Okay. So your consciousness carries this and it registers in the body. That's why we have those chakra points. So everything registers from head down to our base, all right, in these different fields, and it pulsates. You're constantly sending out a signal into the world. Now, number four is alignment. So we just covered these three things, okay? We covered faith. We covered your emotional state is what creates, okay? And then consciousness, our thought, okay? That's why we feel things from thought first to consciousness, okay? So the fourth step is alignment. You must have alignment in thought, belief, and your feeling. So what you believe, as a man believes, so shall it be. So thought, belief, and your feeling. Feeling is the register. It is the signal to the field. Okay. When all of this is in alignment, this is what happens when a particle, the nucleus of a particle, of an atom, when all the electrons are spinning in the same direction, it's called coherence or alignment. You know what that creates? It creates a magnet. So when you are in alignment, you become a magnet. And the emotional signature is what creates. Why am I telling you this? Because the only thing that you should ever think about or focus on is the emotional state, the feeling of what it is that you desire. Whatever that feeling is, whatever state you see yourself in, that is the feeling that you must grasp hold of with faith, thought, and belief and hang on to it. Hang on to it until it becomes your natural state. Once it's your natural state, it must materialize. That's the truth. This is not hustle culture. See, hustle culture revolves around the fact that you think the physical is all that there is. So you must physically do everything that you must do to create things physically. When you know that that's not the case, and we know that that's not the case because we have thought, our brain, our body is sending out electromagnetic signatures. We have an electromagnetic field that is constantly radiating into the world. So as a man thinks, so shall he be. This is why you have to watch how you speak to yourself. Watch how you speak to yourselves. Watch what you're thinking. This is why, like, all these things are so important. So if your circle isn't thinking this way, if your job isn't thinking this way, if you're out in the world and the world isn't thinking this way, this is why solitude is so important. You can't come to grips with who you are, what you believe, and what you want without taking that time to yourself. I have experienced in the last several months confirmation of this, and it happens very fast once you settle into the state desired. And this is to ignore everything that's going on around you physically. That's the hardest part for most people. This last step is the most important step. Part 5 is when you decide to ignore what's going on in your physical, because the only thing that there is your thought and how you perceive things. I saw this mentally before I ever had this physically. Ignoring your physical circumstance and remaining in the state is the thing that creates the state the most. You cannot allow your physical circumstance to dictate how you feel. You must feel constantly the state desired, regardless of what's going on in your physical circumstance. That is how this works. That is called actual faith. And that's what we talked about. For more information, go to my podcast again, The Proper Gentleman's Club on Spotify. I'll probably do a couple more videos like this week, and maybe even do my podcast from out here. We are in, well, I'm not going to tell you where we're at, but I hope this helps you. If you have comments, please leave them. And I'm going to go do some reading.